Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another video. Firstly, I would like to thank each and every one of you guys for all the support over the past few weeks and months on the channel. I know I haven't been posting a lot over the past month. However, I have seen the amount of views you guys have been coming in with, the subscribers. Welcome to all the new subscribers and all the likes. I really appreciate it, and it's really been helpful to the growth of this channel. We are now steadily approaching up to 500 subscribers, which is really a number that personally, I didn't even know we were going to get this far. I know for some people that might not be a high number, but for me, 500 subscribers is quite a big number. Today's video, as you can see by the title of the video, is going to be talking about the not one, but the 2 times I actually made it to the news. And this is both local news, so I don't believe I've ever made it to national news, and I don't intend to anytime soon or anytime ever. However, these were both times I made it to the local news. One time was not intentional, and the other time was I knew I was going to be on the news. So let's go ahead and begin with the first time. So the first time this was when I was working for my past job, which I have since quit at the end of this past year. And now I will preface this all by saying, now that I've quit this last job, I do feel a little bit more comfortable in saying a few things. I'm not going to say anything that paints them in a negative light, especially in terms of this circumstance. This has nothing to do with them. This wasn't anything that the company did wrong, but I just feel like I have a little bit more freedom in terms of what I say now. Then again, I won't be saying anything negative about this company in this instance at all. But the first instance actually happened, I want to say, back in about October, November-ish, probably closer to November. And what had happened was there was a job site we were working on. It was actually down by the Sound Stadium in Nashville. Right next to the Sound Stadium. It's called Ballpark Village. And we were working on a water line. We'd worked on that a few months ago, and we were working on another part of the road. And I'm not sure what had happened. Either someone else was doing construction in the area. One thing or another happened, and a water line had burst over the night close to where we were working. When we got there in the morning, the whole street was flooded. It was crazy. We were like, what is going on here? We thought it was something we did. We were starting to kind of freak out a little bit, my crew and I. And we were kind of trying to figure out what was going on. We're just kind of sitting there looking around. I started taking pictures just in case, because it looked like the whole site had been messed with and someone had been pulling something around. So I started taking pictures because I didn't know if someone had messed with this purposely and just broken a water line on purpose, and I didn't know what was going on. So I was just trying to take pictures just for evidence in case, it turns out someone was trying to do something malicious. And then I saw a news guy from one of the news channels setting up across the street. I didn't know if he was going to go live, or I didn't know, I didn't know what he was doing yet. I didn't think he was going to broadcast just yet. I thought he was still setting up his camera. So my crew and we were just standing there looking at it still, as well as one of the project superintendents. And as we were looking over there, one of the guys on my crew kind of looked over. He saw that I think the camera was recording. He saw like a flashing light or whatever. He said, "Hey, I think they're live." And I kind of look over for a brief second with my eyes, I think, and then I just turn around like immediately, and I just walk off. And we all walk off at the same time. And when I walk off so fast, it looks so weird. But they use that clip. So either that clip was completely live or they just didn't want to edit it out. So it looks so bad. It looks like we did it, and it just looks so suspicious. But you can see me, and I think I might even be wearing this shirt, but you can see me. I just turn around and I just book it out of there.
All right, we begin with this traffic alert to let you know about a water main break in the 200 block of Stockyard Street. This is going to be just north of downtown in the Germantown area. We have some construction happening in this spot, and so this is what has led to a road closure, Stockyard Street and 3rd Avenue. That's a live picture from Jerry Barlar in the News 2 First Alert Unit. You can clearly notice that water beginning to bubble up off of the roadway here. We'll be looking at a traffic impact closer to 3rd Avenue and Stockyard, so just to the, southeast of the First Horizon Baseball Park here as you travel on 3rd Avenue North. So be prepared to use perhaps 2nd Avenue, Harrison Street to work your way around this particular spot. Again, just outside of the Germantown vicinity and not too far from the Cumberland River. Also,
that was the first clip I've ever been on. It was from a distance, and you can see everyone on my crew on there. It's kind of funny to see, but thankfully it ended up not being our fault. I believe Metro Water came and fixed it. I don't know who broke it, but one way or another it broke. To be fair, a lot of the water lines in Nashville are old and need to be replaced. It's just infrastructure that is past due on being replaced. I've heard of stories that of even as recently as a few years ago, there are still wooden water lines being used in certain parts of Nashville. I don't know how accurate that is today in terms of they're still being used. I'm sure if they're still being used, there are plans on them being replaced because wooden water lines are ancient architecture that really isn't used anymore to this day. That was a bit weird because, it came out, I think, later that day or maybe the next day, and I was like, we were showing it to each other on the crew. We were sending it to the group chat, and of course, I would have played this video here on that video on this video already, but we were showing it to each other. We're like freaking out, like, oh my gosh, I'm on the news. It was kind of funny, but it was unintentional because working in construction, you're kind of trained not to ever talk to the news people, generally speaking. Just not to interact and just try to stay away, kind of relatively away from the cameras, just so the company you're working for doesn't have any negative press. And if there's anything official that needs to be said, there will be someone from the company that will come out and say it officially, whether one way or another. But that was just that was a weird way to get on the news for one of the first times. That was probably the first time I might have been on the news before, but that was the first time I remember, and that was recently. Now, moving on to the second time I've been on the news was actually a lot more recently. It was just about three and a half weeks ago. Within the past month here in Nashville, we had a pretty bad ice storm. It was some pretty bad winter weather, and what had happened was every year for the past about 3 or 4 years, actually for the past 3 years, I've gone out with my truck and rescued people from being stranded, pulled people out of ditches every year, except for last year. It wasn't even that bad, so there wasn't really anything to do last year. I don't even think I pulled anyone out. If I did, it was like maybe 1 or 2 people. But the year before that, I was doing it, and the year before that, I was doing it as well, for as long as I remember. And what had happened is I make these posts on Nextdoor and on Facebook. I'm in a few groups on Facebook as well, like local groups. And what ended up happening was there was a local reporter that reached out to me on Facebook and said, "Hey, I'm from this news station. I saw the post on Facebook. Would you have a minute to talk?" So at first I was like, "Oh my gosh," and a reporter's reaching out to me. Like, I don't do this for money. I don't do this for fame. I don't do this, for whatever it might be. The only reason I do it, the main reason I do it is to help other people, because people I know genuinely need help, and some people aren't in capable vehicles. Another reason is because I feel like if I can at least do something helpful for other people, maybe somewhere down on the line when I'm in need, someone can help me. Not that that's the only reason I do it, but I feel like that's another reason to do it. So anyway, they reached out, and I was thinking it was about a minute where I was thinking, no, I'll just say no. I don't need to say that. I don't need to draw attention to myself. But then I thought a little bit longer, and I was like, well, you know what? I've just seen so many bad things and so many negative things on the media recently, on the news, on this, on that. Maybe a good little news story here or there will be a heartwarming little news story. Maybe other people will, take inspiration from it or be happy about it or whatever it might be, And so I said, you know what? I'll do it. I'll do it. Maybe it'll make someone smile. So we met same day, ended up meeting at a parking lot of a park that's close to my house, and they filmed it. I did a lot of yapping. I talked a lot, but of course, the way news stories work, they only take about 5-10 seconds of your actual conversation, and they put it in the news story. But long story short, they did a report on it. They showed, I did a short demonstration on how I pulled people out. I talked about what I did, and it made a news segment. The whole news segment was about a minute and a half long. Now, there's a few things I did want to note before I show you the news segment here in a second, is that I really tried to make it clear that I wasn't the only one who's doing this, because I didn't want this to be all about me. I wanted this to be about the community. I wanted this to be about other people, about helping each other out. And some of the things I said that I'm not sure made it to the final cut were that, first of all, again, I wasn't the only one out here doing this. There were many other people out here either pulling people out if they had capable vehicles or giving people rides. Second one would be that it's in times like these where communities are in need that I feel like communities come together and they're the strongest, as bad as it might seem. And I think this goes from anything from local communities to nations and to countries.
Tonight, we're hearing from a driver who's helping people out in situations like those.
One Good Samaritan, in fact, tells our Sharon Dankwa tonight why he's helping.
They're driving up and down interstate and neighborhood roads looking for people stuck and pulling cars out and giving drivers rides for free. Lucas Daggs says he's been doing this for 3 days straight.
I was just sitting at home bored. I had nothing to do and I had a truck. And I thought, well, I might as well go do something good for people, you know.
So he loaded up his truck and started looking for people who slid off the road into a ditch, were just plain stuck, or needed a ride home.
The last 3 days, I want to say I've pulled probably about 15 people out of ditches, and I've helped transport probably about 10 to 15 as well.
And here's how he does it.
Thank you. All right, bye. I'll hook that up right there, and then I'll end up hooking this up to wherever the vehicle is, part of the frame on them, and then I'll usually slowly pull them out. And after that, I'll just wrap it all up and head on to the next one.
But he says he isn't the only one out there.
I've seen plenty of individuals with trucks or capable vehicles that are safe to be out, you know, helping people out of ditches, just like what I'm doing.
They all jump in to do this every time it snows here in Nashville. And Lucas says he doesn't plan on stopping anytime soon.
If I have the means to help people, you know, I might as well just help.
Lucas says stay home because the situation may be too bad for even his truck to help you. In Nashville, Sharon Dankwa, WSMV 4.
And there's
Back when 9/11 happened, you know, I feel like we were one of the most united. That was one of the times we were the most united. However, we were one of the most hurt times, you know. So I just feel like that's kind of the message I was trying to send there. There was a flood that happened here back in about 2010, and it was a pretty bad flood. It affected a lot of people. Some people died. You know, we had the National Guard actually here at real close. They were handing out water to people, like cases of water. So I remember they deployed the National Guard because I remember they loaded water into our vehicle for us, which was great. But I feel like during that time, we as a community were very united, and there wasn't, you know, on a day-to-day basis, sometimes you won't look at your neighbor and go to your neighbor and say, oh, how's it going? You know, a lot of people are kind of self-reserved, which is completely fine. That's how some people are. However, I feel like when things like that happen, you kind of maybe reach out to your neighbor that you maybe have never talked to or seen, and just check up on them, you know, like, hey, how are you doing? Are you doing okay? Can I help you with anything? I'll maybe go knock on the door. Hey, I'm just checking in. Is everything okay? Do you need anything? You know, stuff like that, which I find really, really beautiful. And it's just, I don't know. I think that's just what it means at the end of the day to be part of a community. And I don't think you have to always be some sort of active member in a community doing everything for other people. However, when it comes down to it in times of need, I think it's beautiful how things like that can happen. And that's just a story I wanted to maybe share and get out there. Again, this wasn't anything I did for myself. This wasn't anything I did to promote myself or make myself look good, even though it put me in a good light. There was something a lot deeper to that I wanted to make sure got across. That I feel like the news outlet did an okay job at putting that across, but I just wanted to reiterate a few things. There's a few other things I could touch up on here or there in terms of that story, but I think that's about all I'm going to talk about for that story. I mean, I pulled several people out. I gave people rides for days. I drove a guy to dialysis and back. I drove people around, but we got through it together. Everyone was okay. And I'm really glad about that. I'm happy that we got through it. And my goal was, if the first responders weren't able to get to them, or if a tow truck wasn't able to get to them, at least I can get them either home or I can get them back on the road. And thankfully, I never ended up getting a call saying that, you know, I'm having a heart attack and I'm stuck on the side of the road and I need to get to the hospital. Thankfully, I never got a call like that. And I'm glad, because I did post in the original post on the Nextdoor app and on Facebook. I did post that, you know, like I'm not 911, but I'll try to get to you as soon as possible, unless it's a life or death emergency. In that case, I'll try to get to you. If someone were to call me or text me, say, hey, I'm having a heart attack, the ambulance can't get to me, or something, or I can't get, or whatever, or ambulances are backed up, they're not going to be here for 30 minutes, I would have tried to get there. But thankfully I never had anything like that, and I don't even know how that would have gone down, but I would have given it my best shot, and that's about all I can offer in that kind of situation. Because when it comes down to it, it all breaks back down to the community. You have levels of service, you got fire department, police officers, all those public servants. But when it comes down to at the very base of it, you still got the community that hopefully got your back. So that's about all I'm going to say in this video. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys enjoyed the 2 clips shown here. And if you guys have any feedback, or if you guys have been on the news, if you guys care to share, please let me know. Make sure to share this video, as well as make sure to like and subscribe. We're readily approaching 500 subscribers, and if you guys have an idea for a subscriber special, a 500 subscriber special, please let me know. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do yet. I know I did for 50, I'd climb a transmission tower. I don't know if I'm going to do anything quite like that for 500. However, I think there are a few things that I'm thinking of, and I just wanted to get you guys' input on that. But for now, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Stay safe and take care. Peace.